What is going on YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of Vancouver's Worst Drivers. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Blackboxmycar SmartDrive. That's right, this thing is actually being manufactured by Blackboxmycar, and it's basically an infotainment system and a dash cam wrapped up in one. In this review video, I'm going to go over the features, I'm going to go over the things I like, the things I don't like, and if you're actually interested in buying the SmartDrive, I'll leave a link in the description below where you can also get 5% off added automatically at checkout. So without further ado, let's get into the review. So let's get into the features of the Blackboxmycar SmartDrive. So first and foremost, it's a 10-inch screen, it's touch display, it's got a dash cam on the front, which I'll get to later on in this video. It can connect via Bluetooth to your phone, as well as it also has an aux cable which you can plug into the side and actually connect to your speakers that way. It also has built-in speakers, which I'll show you folks in a little bit, and it's just an interesting device because instead of buying a new infotainment system for your vehicle, you can just go ahead and get this thing. So let's get into some of the features. So first and foremost, on the home screen, I will tell you folks, I actually have a Samsung phone, so I am going to be using the Android Auto feature here. You can click that, which will bring up your display in terms of maps or music or phone if you want. You've got DVR, so this thing actually has a dash cam in the front, and this is how you can access the footage. You can also play back the footage here. I'm connected to Android Auto at the moment, so it won't allow me to do that, but if you disconnect Android Auto, it'll actually show all your video files, and you can actually view them right on the screen like this. You can also change the audio output, so if you will go to this, I have it on the speakers on the device because I want to show you folks what the actual speakers sound like. Otherwise, you can connect this device to your vehicle Bluetooth, so all the music and notifications will be coming directly from your vehicle speaker. You can also connect via radio signal. So if you actually go to FM here, you can actually change the frequency here, and you can actually connect the speaker to an FM signal, which is cool. And last but not least, as I had mentioned, you can actually connect this thing to your speakers via auxiliary cable. If you also change the screen here as well, you've got Apple AirPlay and Android Cast, which I will show you folks in a little bit as well, what you can do with that. You've got Bluetooth music, and you also have Wi-Fi video, so you can actually play videos from your phone onto this device directly. On this bottom part here, we've got the screen sensitivity or brightness, so you can adjust that. I personally like keeping on max brightness for myself. So here is the settings for the Blackboxmycar SmartDrive. First and foremost, we have a dash cam resolution settings. Now, I'm going to get into this feature later on for this dash cam, but you can actually connect this to your backup camera. There's an additional feature of this device, and you can actually record while you're filming in the front and the back, so the backup camera actually acts like a rear dash cam. So for that, unfortunately, I do not have that installed, but if I had it installed, I would have 2.5K for a front dash cam and then 720p for the rear. Otherwise, you can do 1080p front, 1080p rear, or 720p and 720p front and rear as well. So that's the resolution for the dash cam. This is the cycle for the more of a video length of the dash cam videos. Microphone on and off, reminder tone, image mirror. We've got a screensaver, so this device can actually turn off after a specific period of time if you wanted to. You also have voice control, so if you go ahead and press that, you can show, it says show front camera, turn on display, turn off display, or show all cameras. I will say this is complicated because I also have a dash cam right here, the VFO A229 Pro. So when I say these voice commands, it actually does the exact same thing for my dash cam as well. You've got auto dimming here, so you can actually set the time when you want this device to dim. For me personally, I'm not a huge fan of this. I wish it just auto dimmed based on how bright it was outside, but if you want, you can actually set a time there. So this I have for 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. and then it would go down to 33% brightness, but I can also go ahead and adjust that if I want to as well. We've also got driving position, so if you're driving on the right side of the vehicle, you can change that. The reverse light line calibration. Again, that'll be for your backup camera. You can adjust the setting on there. Language, date, time, format, so that'd be to format the SD card, factory reset, or firmware version. And so that's a brief synopsis of the settings on the Blackboxmycar SmartDrive. So here we have the main screen for Android Auto set up on the SmartDrive. It's got Google Maps here. It's got My Music, so based on my Spotify account. You can add some widgets here on the side here by just pushing the customize button, which I will show you right here. And so you can add any of these to the side panel here, and then you can go ahead and then just easier access. So I've got my Spotify account, and I have this connected to the speakers on the device itself. I don't have it set up to my speakers on my vehicle because I just want to show you guys what the speakers sound like, and here it is. If I had to compare it to anything, it basically sounds like a really loud speaker on a phone. So it doesn't have like deep bass or anything like that. But the expectation is that you connect it to the stereo system on your car, and then you can have much better sound on your actual vehicle. So in the past, I've actually rented a Corvette C8, which is an amazing vehicle. I rented it for my wedding. And I gotta say, when I connected to the Android Auto on that vehicle, I was not impressed with the Android Auto because basically I could not input addresses from my phone directly to Android Auto via my phone. I actually had to input it manually on the Apple or the Android Auto directly, and that's the only way I could actually get directions to go somewhere. Now with this device, doesn't work. I don't have to do that. I can input addresses on my phone, it'll pop up on the screen, or I can just simply add it on the device itself, or even push the voice command button. So again, I've been really enjoying this device. I find this easier than using my actual phone. Plus, I also have access to my music on here as well. So it's been really a nice touch. And you also have the option of making phone calls as well. So it just is a much easier system than actually simply using my phone. Also, one nice feature as well is that if you're tired of looking at your screen and you don't want this thing on at all, there's actually just a button right at the top of the screen here that you just push, and it turns off the device, and then you can turn it back on if you want, and there's your screen again. So as I mentioned before, in order to access the playback feature of the Dashcam footage, you actually have to disconnect Android Auto. I find it a little inconvenient, but again, you're not going to be pulling footage that often, so I guess it's not a huge deal. Here we have the screen as well. You can go playback, which is also the same as, if I go to the main screen, the playback feature right here goes to the exact same spot, and then all my Dashcam footage is right here on the side there, and I've been seeing you can just hear me talking there. So it does actually have a speaker also built in as well. But I'll show you folks just some of the footage of me driving here. So there's some of the footage of me driving. As you can tell, there's actually the speakers on the inside of the vehicle. It doesn't have, for example, speed or location. It only has the date and time at the top left there. But to be honest, I'm actually pretty impressed with the quality of the footage. I gotta say, it's not ideal based on the location because it's so low on the actual vehicle windshield, as opposed to, say, a dash cam that's located higher up looking down. But if you don't already have a dash cam, this is an easy way of at least having a dash cam. It's not going to give you, some of the extra features that other dash cams have, but overall, it's actually not bad. So there's also a feature called Android Cast. There's also the Apple Play, which you can also cast your Apple device to this device, the SmartDrive as well. But here you can see this is just my phone. I've got Vancouver's Worst Drivers up. You can play it like this. Or I can make it full screen like this. And then you can actually watch YouTube videos directly on your SmartDrive. As I mentioned, I have it based on the speakers on this device, but you can also connect to the speakers of your vehicle and actually watch movies, shows, YouTube videos directly onto your SmartDrive. So on the side of the device here, we have the power input here, and the cable as well. You've got the AV in port. You've got the micro SD card port. The great thing about this SmartDrive device as well is it actually comes with a 64 gigabyte micro SD card for your dash cam, which I think is a great feature from Blackboxmycar. And then finally, we've got an auxiliary port right here on the side where you can connect an auxiliary port if you need to. So at the front of the device, we've got the dash cam here right in the middle. I wanted to point out to you folks that if you want to angle the SmartDrive toward the driver slightly, you can actually move the dash cam slightly right and left, very slightly though. So I'm emphasizing that is not a big angle. So if you want to go ahead and do that, angle it a little bit that way, but that's about it. Also, this mount, you can actually change the angle of the SmartDrive itself in terms of a degree of a surface of a touchscreen. However, it does not rotate right or left as well. So just being mindful of that when you're installing this thing, just picking up a spot that you actually want to put it at. So as I mentioned earlier in this video, there's a rear backup camera that you can also install and connect to your SmartDrive device. It involves connecting it to your car computer as well as installing it in the back of your tailgate. So I recommend hiring someone to do that. I took a look at videos online and to me, it looked just outside my comfort zone, so I didn't go ahead and do that, but I'm hoping to do that later on in the future. But as you can see here, I stole this from the Blackboxmycar video, but basically the moment you put your car into reverse, you get the backup camera and it films 1080p as you're driving as well. So what are my final thoughts on the Blackboxmycar SmartDrive device? I think this thing is absolutely great. I have been using it for a while now. I've really been enjoying it. Now I've been using this more so than my phone, which wasn't the case for some vehicles I've used with Android Auto in the past. So that's a nice touch. I like that the size of a touchscreen. I like the features on it and its accessibility. I also like that it has a dash cam in the front. I think that's a great feature especially for folks who don't own a dash cam yet, or for whatever reason don't want to get one, and it just is built in and it's super easy to use. The only downside I see is the auto dim. I wish it just had an auto dim based on how bright it was outside. Just a minor thing, but something that would be a great feature in the future. Also, accessing the footage without having to disconnect Android Auto would also be a lot easier. But otherwise, I really enjoy this device, and I think Blackboxmycar has done a great job on this thing. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, if you're interested in this device, you can get 5% off using the code in the description below. And thank you so much for watching this video.